Welcome to Board Game Empire. We're going to be showing you a brief overview and review of Hadrian's Wall. So this is a game where you're playing as a general. There's a total, I think, of 6 generals that you can choose from. Each of them are represented by their own deck. They're identical decks, but they have a different general on the back. You will be playing these cards throughout the game, which consists of 6 years. You'll be choosing one as your path card, which goes above your player board, representing what year it is. That helps you keep track of what year you're in. And then you'll be playing, the other one is called the prospect card, and that determines what resources you get here on the bottom left each time, at the beginning of each year. And then if you happen to do a scout move on your player sheet, consists of that. And then also, if you choose it for a path, the upper part here in blue in the clouds is what your scoring is based on at the end of the game. So that shows you a goal. It's your own private objectives, basically, that you're going for throughout the game. So it's basically a worker placement game where you're writing in on these 2 sheets. You decide, using your workers, where you want to send them to move up on certain tracks. One sheet over here is basically like your resources and landmarks.
Wall, fort.
Yeah, and keeps up with your disdain. Disdain is when you lose the battle at the end of the fate, when the picks, I think they're called, attack. If you don't have enough cohorts marked in to block them, you will get disdain, because that shows you're a weak general and didn't really protect your wall, your area very well. I don't know all the lingo, but so you're going to be spending the purple meeples are the servants, the blue are the builders, the black are the soldiers, the yellow are the civilians, and the gray blocks are the resources. So you're going to be using different ones based on where you're marking on your sheet. Mostly on this right sheet, I believe these are called the aristocrats. You're trying to gain their favor. You'll be spending the civilians. And as each civilian you spend, you get to mark more blocks under those, which unlock things on the right of that sheet. Things you can unlock are the gladiators. You could send those to battle, and each year, once per year, the theater. And each of those kind of correspond with this sheet. As you mark things more and more, you'll gain little rewards. As you can see, there's little rewards in these blocks, different things. You find the area on one of the sheets that those are represented by and mark a block there. So there's a lot of back and forth from this sheet to this sheet when you gain rewards. For instance, you'll gain renown, piety, valor, and discipline. Those things, those tracks are some of the in-game scoring tracks, so you'll want to try to gain as many of those as you can. Once you get up to 15 here, then you can build one of these landmarks. So there's a lot of things that trigger based on how far up you are on certain tracks. I'm not going to go into detail because there's a lot to this game to explain. I'm just basically covering it all in a very quick nutshell. At the end of each year, you're going to draw a fate card. And that fate card basically, I take that back. At the beginning of the year, you will draw a fate card. Everyone gains the resources on the bottom, plus the resources on whatever path prospect card they chose. And any resources, so you're going to be filling in circles right in this area. If you've, based on what circles you have filled in, you might gain additional resources. Mostly, I will say the gray wall pieces are the most valuable in a lot of ways, because they seem to be the hardest to get a lot of. And a lot of these landmarks and buildings you need to build require several of those. So you're going to want to try to build those. One way to do it is...
The best way is this one right here. It's what unlocks a lot of the resources.
Which ones?
This one.
Oh, the small precinct,
Yeah.
the medium, and the large precinct. But to do that, you have to
Give up two.
You have to build up your traders
Yeah.
track.
Plus, when you build anything and everything on a lot of these,
You're giving up workers.
you have to give up workers.
Yeah.
And
So there's a lot going on, and it's basically a solo game. Even though you're playing against each other, you are playing. If you're playing more than one player, obviously whoever has the highest score wins. But it's very, it can be played solo. It's very solitaire.
Yeah.
Everything's simultaneous. There's no player interaction whatsoever. And other than when you're scouting, if you want to call that player interaction, if you use a player's, in scouting, these patterns here is what you're going to be marking when you scout. And you'll get rewards based on the blocks you cover, and you get rewards if you fill in entire rows. So you get valor if you do a full row. So if you want to use an opponent's card in their prospect card instead of yours, you give them one of your soldiers. If you're using your own, you just put it back in the main supply. So you're going to be paying that soldier no matter what, but depends on which card you use, which card you scout from is the one person or that you pay that soldier, or you pay it to the supply if you're using your own. That's the only player interaction in this game. And then at the end of the year, you'll draw however many cards are depicted. You're going to decide if you're playing which level. They suggest playing the
green
easiest, which is the green. Right here. It's on their player board. And you can see, I know that's hard to see. Everything's really small in this game. It tells you each year, whichever color you're playing, we did green for easy, how many fate cards you draw. So the first year you're going to draw 1. So each year you're drawing more and more. You're drawing 8 at the end of the game. So you're going to draw those fate cards, and these red arrows decide which cohorts they're invading. The cohorts are left, middle, right. So this one is invading middle and right. So you need to have at least one block in each of those marked to block it. If you did, you get valor, and you get to mark a spot on your valor. If not, depending on how many cards, for each one you beat, you get to mark a spot on your valor. If you didn't block one of them, then you would mark a circle down here on the disdain. However, if you and then you would mark one on valor, I believe, because it's based on if you succeed and fail.
There's also a way to block it with I forget what that one's called.
The sheets on the right, I think it's called favor. You can gain favor, I think it's called, to block them. But I'm not going to go into that. That's a lot. So that's the gist of the game. Basically, you're playing through 6 years, and the main thing is just learning how each of these spaces on these sheets correspond, and remembering because a lot of things trigger, so it does like a chain reaction of things that triggers. You mark one here, you're going to mark one over there. Well, that probably opens something else up you're marking. So especially near the end of the game, you're going to have a lot more chain reactions of things that you're marking because you get more rewards as you're marking more and more blocks.
And you just have to remember you're going from left to right, and your fort determines pretty much where you are able to build from that point.
He's talking about on the top of this sheet.
Yeah, so the fort is the key. You have to keep building the fort, and then that will determine how far you could go. So
up here.
Yeah. And that's for the wall and the, what's it?
Sippy.
Yeah.
Wall guard and mining foresting. Yeah. So what did you think of this game?
As far as components, I like the card design. Let's see, the cards are, I think, pretty good quality. Yeah, they're pretty good quality. The paper, I kind of wish that it was double-sided. I think it's wasted when it's blank. So, I mean, you could always laminate it. So that's not that big of an issue. But And so it's okay components. It's more like I guess like a spreadsheet. So, but as far as the mechanics, I really like the mechanics. I enjoyed it. I think it's very strategic. There's many different avenues and ways to score points. Kind of a point style type of game. So I really enjoyed it. I didn't find it too difficult. You just have to remember you have to pay the characters to build and the resource to build a lot of the stuff you're building, and you also have to make sure you build that fort. So other than that, it's very simplistic. So mechanics is not that difficult. And then as replayability, high replayability because it's always changing and there's a lot of cards. And it takes probably like 5 to 7 minutes to set up or less. And so overall total, I'm giving it an 8.5. I really enjoyed the game. I think it's a really good game, very strategic, easy to play, and just quick game.
Wasn't that quick?
Like 40 minutes, 40, 45.
I have a very different opinion of Anthony. And I remember he was complaining about the same thing. These are way too small, these sheets.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish it was a little bigger because
it's a lot of information packed in a lot of little small boxes. And when you're in your late 40s or older, like we are, even with glasses, that's hard to read. And I had a headache. I literally had, and so did you. We both had a headache after playing this game. So to me, that took away from the whole playing experience.
Yeah, they need to make it bigger.
I probably would have enjoyed it more if I wasn't struggling the whole time to make sure I'm reading it right. I mean, I have trifocals, so it's bifocals, and so it was still for me kind of difficult I can read it, but it's just so small. It's just a lot of strain on your eyes.
Well, it's because it's also so busy.
Yeah, it's so busy. And I will say that when I first saw this game and I saw we had these 2 sheets, I was like, ugh. I was already overwhelmed before we even started playing it because it just looked like so much. So
but it's not really. They
need to lay it out better and they need to make it bigger.
Yeah.
And that would make it less. I think it would have made the gameplay much more enjoyable for me because it's not a bad game. It's not. Like, I like strategy and I like
point salad
and games where you're, the roll and write type games where you're filling out the sheets. I love them. And I don't hate this game at all. It just wasn't enjoyable because it's the way these sheets are laid out. And they're so small. It just made it not enjoyable for me. And it took me a while to because it was, our first game and I know as you play this more and more, it would get easier to, just kind of instinctively know. But my eye strain was so bad at the end of the game. I really don't want to ever play this game again. It was just too much for me. But, so I would give this a 6. Not a bad game, but for me, those little things just make it too unbearable for me to play. It's way too busy. Like I'm big on layouts of things. Like I have my degrees in graphic design and the layout of this is just horrible in my opinion. It needs to be more simplified, easier to follow and easier on your eyes.
Yeah.
But, other than that, I mean, the components are nice. It's a great game as far as the mechanics. It is, once you figure out, how the Aristocats work, and there is a little bit of a learning curve there because you do have to figure out what their symbols are because there's certain banners you have to mark squares up to unlock things. So there's a lot of things you have to unlock. So that's really the main learning curve in this game is just to figure out their way of representing things like that. And, just overall making sure you're marking everything and paying the right resources because everything's depicted by symbols or pictures. It's not words because it's so small. They don't have very much space. So it's mostly just symbols. And it is Another thing that if you like games where there's more player interaction, you would not enjoy this game. This game, honestly, would be just as fun played solo as with other players, I think, because it's technically a solo game that you just happen to be playing beside someone else doing the same actions. And then of course whoever has the most score wins, but you could totally play this solo and have just as much fun, I think, with it. But my big thing is if they do a different printing of this game, another printing, they should make these bigger and lay them out better. Even if they have to do a third sheet or something, it would be better. Because it's just so busy. Like, it's very overwhelming just looking at it right away. But for me, so good game, but needs those tweaks for it to be enjoyable. Maybe younger eyes won't have that issue, but...
Not that much younger than you.
No, I'm talking about younger than us, like 30s, 20s. Maybe it's no big deal for them, but for older eyes, to me, it's just too much. But so, do you have anything else to say? Hopefully, our review helped you to decide whether this is the game you want for your collection. Again, it is a great game. It's a great game for point salad.
Strategic.
Yeah. Maybe even if we blew them up ourselves, if we wanted to go that far.
Oh, we could do that and then laminate it.
Yeah. That would maybe be a suggestion if you get this game and have older eyes like us. Maybe do that.
Do they even have Kinko's anymore?
I don't know, but they have other places like that, I think. Staples.
Oh. Shows our age.
But thank you for watching. Hopefully we gave you some, hopefully this helped you to decide whether this is a game you'd want to get. We will put the link in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Check it out on BGG, see what other people have to say. It's very highly rated. A lot of people love this game. So feel free to give us a question or comment. We'll get to that as soon as we can. Please give this video a like. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for being a loyal fan. If you're not, we'd appreciate if you'd subscribe and click that bell so you could get all of our content. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next time.